As president of the Montgomery County Council, it's my honor today to recognize the Honorable Herman L. Taylor, Jr. for his significant contributions to Montgomery County and the state of Maryland. Delegate Taylor has made innumerable contributions to our community. I've been proud to call him a dear friend for almost 20 years. We first worked closely together in 2005 and 2006 to pass the only statewide living wage bill in the U.S., which, following our county's legislation, established the idea that those working on public tax dollars need to be paid at least enough to feed their families without being on public assistance, helping lift tens of thousands of families out of poverty long before the Fight for 15 extended that principle to all workers. Delegate Taylor's career has included serving as one of the first African-American lawmakers for Montgomery County in the Maryland House of Delegates. He's been a business leader for more than 25 years. He continues to be a staunch advocate of public policies that promote the use of small and minority-owned businesses and public contracting, especially through his leadership as the founder and president of the Minority Business Economic Council. Delegate Taylor has dedicated his career to advancing policies that promote the use of small and minority-owned business in public contracting, and has done so as part of the House Economic Matters Committee and the Legislative Black Caucus. He was recently recognized by the Maryland General Assembly for his incredible work as a founder of MBE Night, an annual legislative procurement conference to advance economic equity. It's a great honor to present this proclamation today to our friend, former Delegate Taylor, who's done so much for our community, our county, and our state. And County Executive, are you joining us on this proclamation?
Thank you for letting me join you on this. I want to thank Herman for his work in elevating minority businesses, not only in the county and the state. It is really important. This county has done reasonably well, but we always strive to do better. We know that it's important that the minority community get adequately represented in the procurement process. We've done work over the last couple of years to open up those processes, make them more transparent, and make contracting available to more people. That should help serve the minority community. And I think the work that Herman's done in this area has been really important for the county. There are a lot of small minority businesses who I know have him to thank for being able to build their presence in the county. So thank you for doing the proclamation this morning.
Thank you for joining us. Councilmember Rice.
Well, thank you very much, Council President, and I appreciate just giving me the opportunity to just say a few words about my good friend, Delegate Taylor. I remember as a junior delegate coming in and having this tall person come over to me and put his big hand on my shoulder and say, listen, you're going to be okay. I'm going to teach you the ropes, and I'm going to tell you what you need to know in order to be successful here. And I had a great 4 years, and part of my contribution was following the leadership of people like Delegate Taylor when it came to focusing on our communities of color and understanding the disparities that existed. This is long before we passed racial equity and social justice here in this county. This is long before the conversations were around what we needed to do regarding the inequities that existed in businesses. And there were people like Delegate Taylor, who knew that we needed to lay the groundwork to make sure that folks were prepared, that folks were connected, understanding the decades of discrimination that existed against businesses of color, that kept them from government contracts at the state and local and federal levels, ones that shut them out and made sure that families that were working here in this community would not be connected to the same resources and opportunities that others were. And that was visionary. And so it truly is one in which we have to acknowledge the visionaries, the leaders who stood up when no one else was standing up and saying that we needed to do something and make a difference. I'll never forget when he said, man, WSSC, all these other folks out here, Pepco and all that, they all have all these contracts, and they always go to people who don't look like us. And that needs to change. That resonated with me, and that still sticks with me today. And it's the reason why working with people under the leadership of Councilmember Navarro and others, when it comes to fighting for these kinds of causes, it's easy because I came into this learning just how important that was. And that's because of people like Delegate Taylor. So thank you, sir, for all of your great work. Thank you for your dedication to the community. Thank you for being a trailblazer. Thank you for fighting for those who oftentimes have been fighting for themselves for so long and nobody's listened to them nor lifted up their voice. you have truly made a difference in the lives of so many families, so many in our community of color, and we are truly appreciative. So thank you.
Councilmember Novato.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to say a few words. Well, dear friend, Delegate Herman Taylor, it's really great to see you through this venue. I have to say that I believe that there are very few elected officials, in my opinion, that even beyond their service in elected office, continue to stand true to their beliefs and their guiding principles and their agendas. And I think that Delegate Taylor is one of those people who for years and years and years has been very consistent in terms of understanding the pivotal role that access to opportunities, especially for small business owners, the importance and the role that that plays in ensuring that communities of color really truly get to that point of eliminating some of these extraordinary gaps, mainly talking about economic attainment and wealth creation, et cetera. And this is so important because it's about empowerment. It's not about a deficit model where there are handouts. It is about empowerment. And he has gone to do this. He did it first when he was in elected office. He continues to do it. And it is in such a generous way because he is always assisting people regardless of where they come from, what their ethnicity, their race, he is always there. And that's also something I want to highlight because it is very important to elevate our former elected officials of color, current elected officials of color who understand the importance of intersection and bridging communities and ensuring that in a county like ours, in a state like ours, that working together is exactly how we're always going to maintain our high quality of life and actually enhance our high quality of life. So I just wanted to salute you, Delegate Taylor, for your extraordinary work and really, look forward to seeing everything else that you will continue to do because this is such an important moment in time, I think, in the history of our country when it comes to these issues of truly, authentically, without apology, working to forge access to communities of color in all policy areas. So thank you, my friend, and continue doing the great work. Thank you, Mr. President, for bringing this up and presenting this proclamation to you.
Well said, council member, not at all. And Herman, do not get confused. COJO's was a retirement proclamation. We are not letting you retire. You have to keep doing everything Councilmember Navarro just reiterated about building generational wealth and equity. We need a lot more of it in Montgomery County. So with that, let me read the proclamation of the Montgomery County Council. Whereas the Honorable Herman L. Taylor, who has made significant contributions to Montgomery County and the state of Maryland through his service in the Maryland House of Delegates as one of the first African-American lawmakers from Montgomery County, representing Maryland's 14th legislative district, and as a recognized business leader for more than 25 years. And Councilmember Rice, for you? That's what I was told. If you don't have it, I can keep going. Okay. Is anybody? Okay. Whereas Mr. Taylor, anybody else wants to chime in if you have it, just flag me. Whereas Mr. Taylor is a staunch advocate of socioeconomic policies which promote the use of small and minority-owned business in public contracting. He received an appointment by the Montgomery County Council to chair a task force that recommended reforms to Montgomery County's procurement programs that pertain to minority business utilization. As a lifelong entrepreneur, one of his business ventures, Desk-Made Office Products, was listed as one of the largest minority-owned office product distributors in the region. Whereas Mr. Taylor served on the House Economic Matters Committee and was chairman of the subcommittee on unemployment insurance in the Maryland General Assembly. He served the Legislative Black Caucus of Maryland as the vice chair and led the Economic Development Committee and the Legislative Review Committee. From 2014 to 2016, he served on the board of directors of the Maryland Black Caucus Foundation. And he has secured funding for the Martin Luther King Jr. National Memorial located in Washington, D.C. And for his hard work in securing this funding, Mr. Taylor received the 2008 Public Service Award from the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And whereas Mr. Taylor worked tirelessly to pass the state's living wage bill, which helps ensure that working Marylanders receive a fair wage for his work on this matter, he was named Legislator of the Month by the Center for Policy Alternatives. And whereas he has been recently recognized in the Maryland General Assembly as founder of MBE Night in Annapolis, an annual legislative procurement conference uniquely specialized to advance economic equity among diverse suppliers. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the County Council of Montgomery County hereby recognizes the Honorable Herman L. Taylor Jr. for his outstanding contributions to the residents of Montgomery County, Maryland, presented on the 13th day of April, year 2021. Craig Rice, Council Member, Nancy Navarro, Council Member, Tom Hucker, Council President. Delegate Taylor, what do you have to say for yourself?
Wow. First, let me get my composure together. Good morning, everyone. It's so good to be here with all of you all. I am obviously feel very honored. Thank you for recognizing my work and bestowing this honor on me and putting me to work as well with the task force and other things, assignments that you all have given me. It is, it's always a wonderful thing to be honored, right? Get an award or recognition or proclamation. It's always a moving moment. But when you get this admiration, if you will, from friends, it has special meaning. Council President Hucker, I want to thank you for initiating this. Thank you for your decades of friendship, and I just think back on so many of you all, how special it was when we met and how we met. And I remember Council President Hucker coming to my office after my first election, and I think it was 1998, after I lost, telling me the next time I would win. He came all the way to DC, didn't know him that well then, and came all the way to Washington, DC to my warehouse. And because I was trying to get back to work and forget about politics, and he came almost a stranger and uplifted me and stirred up my gifts and said, look, you're going to do this again. And I said, no, I'm not. And he said, you're going to do it again. And next time you're going to win. And then, when I look at Craig Rice saying what he said, Councilmember Rice, about what he says I did for him, the legislature, trust me, here's the truth on this. Craig came into the legislature day one, like he had been there for 10 years. When I got there, my first year before him, I stayed quiet, the typical thing, figure out where the bathrooms were. It was really old school back in the early 2000s. But Craig came literally, it's a phrase when you say day one. Craig was really day one. Needed no tutoring. But just our friendship has amassed over the years, and I'm so appreciative of Councilmember Rice and our bond that we share as former colleagues. And then Nancy Navarro, my councilwoman, there's just not much to be said because everything she's about it shows in her work and speaks volumes. Remember meeting you at a community center when I think you first got to the school board. We were just at a community center, East County, and we just connected from the first moment we met. And then I shouldn't go through and single all the people out with this body, so forgive me. But lastly, you can't just forget that people who helped you along the way, and some maybe have put their neck out. But Sidney Katz was the first, when I ran for office in 1998, once again, a stranger. And current council member Mike Subin back at the time in the 90s took me over Sidney Katz's house, I think, so I don't know whose house we were over, and sat on his couch and asked if he would endorse me, and he did. I was surprised, so a friendship for years. So I don't want to just keep pointing people out, but this whole council is special to me. There's so many friendships shared, and so I just want to thank you all for all that you've done. Let me also acknowledge Kojo and the honor that Evan, Councilmember Glass, bestowed on him, which was so kind to recognize his achievements. And just again, in closing, thank you all for all that you all are doing and the public service that you all are still rendering, especially in these unprecedented times of such great magnitude. You've really been there. You've done it all, so it's a great deal of thanks that the public owes for going through this time and providing such important leadership. And of course, lastly, I want to acknowledge the county executive's presence and his friendship over 3 decades. And so I really appreciate him taking time to be here to support this proclamation. It means a lot. And I certainly want to thank County Executive Elbridge. So again, just thank you all so much for this wonderful honor. I'll never forget it because it came from friends.
So we're so glad you could join us. Congratulations on all your accomplishments. You're halfway done. So keep up the good work.